And it is time to bring in our State House insiders. Antoine C. Wright, our Democrat strategist, Dave Wilson, our Republican strategist. Guys, over at the State House today, the State Comptroller General Richard Ekstrom saying that the state's cash balances were overstated by $3.5 billion over a 10-year period. And I know some senators over at the State House were not too happy with all of this. Dave, what does this mean for the state of South Carolina?
The numbers on the state budget have not actually, the amount of money that's actually there has not disappeared. It's not like we've lost $3.5 billion. They put the money on the wrong ledger. But what it did with South Carolina senators was it infuriated them because they realized that this is something that has been going on for several years. And they are very upset with the Comptroller General right now because they want to have an answer as to why in the world did this not get told to them sooner?
My dear Republican friends often like to refer running government like a business. In the private sector, when something like this happens, there's a call for someone to be fired or some sort of accountability. I'm not trying to throw any employee or any person under the bus, but the buck stopped with the person who was in charge. So I think the leader of the agency certainly has some questions to be answered. It's one thing if it's $35 or even $35,000. When you talk about that amount of money, where I'm from, they call that a muck up. And that's where the M, Dave, a muck up. That means really messed up situation. And so I think that the response to this and the outrage comes from a bipartisan outrage because it truly impacts the flow and the trust that people have in state government.
Let me mention this also. Ekstrom acknowledging this happened over a 10-year period. He says the error was corrected and the state's general fund account balance in the most recent annual comprehensive financial report, which I believe was done in November. So he has said this was on his watch. It was his mistake over a 10-year period. Is that going to make a difference, guys?
It doesn't make a difference because if this would have happened under Democratic watch, people would have been losing their minds and their hairs over this call for resignation, call for impeachment, calling for someone to be locked up and locked away. Yet you will see a slap on the wrist, the blink of an eye, and people will move on to the next thing. So I just hope that the accountability back swing both ways. And there's anger and frustration. And this is not the first time. We saw the Secretary of State just a few years ago who did not sign pieces of legislation that came to question whether or not those pieces of legislation signed by the governor were even valid because their signature was not on it. So, Dave, I think your party, who control every statewide office in the state, has some real reevaluating to do when it comes to very important things.
There is a place, Antoine, of accountability. I will give to Richard Ekstrom. He admitted the fact that it was there. He was the one that brought it up. He should have brought it up sooner. And that's one of the reasons why I think we're in the situation we're in. This is a place where people want to be able to know and trust. It's frustrating, though. I will say this. It's frustrating that this correction was made in November after an election, because if this had come out, if it had come public before the election, it could have been something different. And I think that's a place where we got to really call that into question.
All right, Dave, Antoine, guys, thank you so very much. One final note, Ekstrom saying today this should not affect the budgeting process as lawmakers move forward with the current legislative session. For more information on this and more information about what's going on over at the State House, simply go to our website tonight. That's WLTX.com.